Afternoon, good evening, and grand rising, depending on what time you guys are watching this short video. So some of you were able to see the first video that I did, which was in a private setting, going over some of the history regarding why we are where we are in today's society in regards to being an American or U.S. citizen and making sure we're assisting with the bankruptcy and the Treasury Department, so on and so forth. And so we ended that off with doing W-4 sandwiches. Now, I have learned, processed, and have been down this rabbit hole, I want to say since 2012. There's much to learn, many laws to read and to interpret, so make sure you have plenty of dictionaries, in addition to our lovely Google, because you can go to legal websites like Law Cornell, so on and so forth, where you can actually read the United States Code, the Internal Revenue Code, so on and so forth, to ensure that you grasp the full spectrum of what we're doing here as the people. So today, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth about the W-4 sandwich. I do understand that there are many people giving this presentation to give the public an understanding on how to audit the companies that are utilizing or have access to our trust. So I'm just pretty much doing the same thing, keeping it simple and making sure everyone has an understanding of how to submit your W-4 sandwiches. I also want to encourage you to not have fear or be fearful about submitting these sandwiches, because essentially all you're doing is requesting the IRS to audit the companies and to make sure that your books are balanced. That is their specialty. They are the accountants and the tax assessors to assist with the credits and recoupment that are owed to, as well as interest that are owed to us as the people. So you're not getting in trouble for having a company audited or a bureau audited or utility service company audited or college audited, so on and so forth. If credits come back to you, yay. If not, audit copacetic. That means that company is trustworthy, their accounting books are straight, and your books are balanced in regards to your dealings with that corporation on the public side, and the private side is taken care of as well. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen so that we can get into the presentation on how to do your W-4 sandwiches. So give me just a moment here to access my tech savvy side. All right. So again, if you haven't watched the first video, I encourage you to go back. I do understand that we started recording kind of like in the middle of the session. However, there's still a lot of good history and information for you to delve into, especially for my geeks, my nerds, and my history buffs. If you're like me, you love intelligence, you're sapiosexual. So without, again, further ado, we're going forward now into actually how to fill out the forms and to submit them. So again, W-4 sandwich, how to. Before we get started, lawful disclaimer. This is not legal or financial advice, but public knowledge that we were too lazy to find out by not reading and studying. Doesn't help that we didn't know what we didn't know. But now that we know better, we are going to do better. Again, this is for informational, educational, and geek entertainment purposes only. Remember to do your own research, trust your own discernment, and take personal responsibility and liability for your own actions or lack thereof. So, forms that will be needed. Of course, you're going to need paper, whether lined or 8 by 11, so that you can handwrite or print your cover letter for each W-4 sandwiches in packs of 5. The IRS forms that you're going to need are the W-4, the 1040, or the 1040-NR if you have corrected your status, the IRS form 1040V. And of course, you can go right to www.irs.gov to download or to print those forms. They don't have the special red ink, so it's okay to print those in PDF directly from the website. You're also going to need your strawman or public name that is on your Social Security card, your Social Security number, and the employer's name, address, EIN number, and approximate date of hire, or the approximate date of when the account was established or opened. You're also going to need some stapler, paper clips, envelopes, um, specifically the large envelopes so you don't have to fold the packages, black and blue pens, and the certified service mail forms, which is PS Form 3800, and then 2-cent stamps. And if you can't find 2-cent stamps because they have seemed to disappear from most post offices, you can get the 1-cent stamps and just use 2 of those, or you can go on the USPS website and order the 2-cent stamps yourself. They do come in a large variety of rolls, and you can get plenty that will last you for quite some time. Now, for the cover letter, this is just a sample verbiage for a cover letter that you would write. Again, this is for every 5 sandwich that you do. So for every 5 companies, i.e. employers, that you are requesting the IRS to audit, you'll want to add a cover letter. And preferably, the suggestion is to handwrite it so that they know that you are the living being. So in the upper right-hand corner, you do want to put the current date, to whom it may concern. Please audit all of these companies immediately. Recoup all remittance funds, credits owed to me without delay. I'm not sure if I included everything correctly, so please correct any areas, omissions, or errors, and add any forms that I failed to provide. If you need anything else from me, please contact me. Bottom right, you're signing sincerely, done in good faith, because you are providing this documentation in good faith. And even though you don't have all of the areas filled out, you're hoping that they are able to provide the appropriate numbers where they should go in the boxes that are left blank. Given for patent rights, that is just for the public use of a private name. All rights reserved. You are reserving your rights and not entering into any contracts or adhesion contracts by filling out these forms. That's why you always put all rights reserved. On the public side, you can use UCC 1-308, which used to be UCC 1-207. And again, it's a reservation of your rights, stating that you are not liable for any terms or conditions that were not fully disclosed as a part of a contract. And with this letter, you are signing as or autographing as the authorized representative of your all capital name. And then, of course, when you go to put in your autograph, you're putting your first given name, your second given name with the hyphen in between, colon, and then your family name. Some people state you put your family name first, colon, and then your first and second given names. Either or works, but the way that you're autographing is just signifying that you are the living man or woman. Now, in my cover letter, this is how I filled it out. Upper right-hand corner, I ensured that they had my address, city and state. I placed the zip code in brackets to state that I'm outside of the federal jurisdiction and living on the land. I also placed the phone number there for them to contact should they have any questions. And I filled out the letter as such. To whom it may concern, please help with an audit, assessment, and recoupment for any remittances, interest, and credits owed to me. I am including the following completed to the best of my knowledge. And right now we're in 2023, so we do it for last year. 2022 W-4 form for each account employed, 2022 form 1040-NR or 1040, and 2022 form 1040-V. Frankly, not sure if I sent you everything. I don't know, because I'm the beneficiary. I'm not a tax accountant or IRS agent. I have no clue. So if I calculated these correctly or incorrectly, please correct any of the forms as necessary and contact me if you need additional information or forms to complete the audit and assessment for recoupment and balance of said account. Also, if I've made any errors or omissions, please inform me promptly as to what they are so that I can make the appropriate corrections. And then I also gave further instructions to please remit in the form of a check, a credit card, or directly to the account that I placed on my 1040 forms. Thank you for your attention and assistance in balancing the books. And then, of course, at the bottom right, as you can see, I autographed it appropriately, reserving all of my rights. So again, this is just my example of the letter, and you can tweak it to however suits you and what your understanding of this process is as well. Or you can just use what we put on that previous screen. All right. So when it comes to your autograph, you do not want to use the straw man signature, because if you do, you're stating that you are surety, or that you are the straw man, you are the taxpayer, you are the federal employee, you are the U.S. citizen. So if you do not want to take that office, then you sign your autograph, which is also known as the beneficiary signature or the signature of the living man or woman. Typically, it's written in blue or purple ink. Purple ink or gold ink, which some would tell you signifies sovereignty and living man and woman, and blue ink just signifies trust or contract actions. And so at the bottom, if you look at number 4 and 5, as I explained in the previous slide, these are the different ways that you can autograph, either by placing your first and second given name with a hyphen in between, colon, and then your family name, period, comma, beneficiary, or as you see in number 5, by colon, your family name. And the reason they state your family name is because your family came before you did. So your family name would come first, colon, and then your first and second given names with the hyphen in between, still period at the end, comma, and the office of beneficiary. You can sign either way, trust your own intuition in regards. I just explained to you why people sign the way that they do based on my research. All right, so first form, W-4. As you can see, this is just a split version of the form. You have the top half on the left, the bottom half on the right. So in the top left, you do want to place your first and middle, no initials. So make sure you type out the full middle name if you do have a second given name, your family name, your social security number with the dashes, and your address. City, state, zip. Do not put any abbreviations. And then for section number C, that is optional. You may leave it blank or unchecked. However, if you do typically file a reporting, then you check it how you would typically check for when you file your taxes. At the bottom, you do want to write in the word exempt. Now, the previous forms, if you go back and look at the earlier years, it did have that option to where you can select exempt. However, as you can see, they often change the forms for whatever reason I could not say, and I won't say. And I won't give any speculations, but you can write exempt underneath 4C. And under the employee signature, again, you autograph your beneficiary autograph, either or, as we discussed earlier. And then under the employer section, if you do have a PDF filler, you can fill out this form with the PDF and type it in. Other than that, you have to write very, very tiny, because that section is not very large for those who have a grandiose handwriting. But you can type in your employer name, your account number, or if you're doing a W-4 sandwich for a court case, you can put the court case number there, their address, city, state, and zip, and the approximate or exact date that the account was open, that the case or charges were filed, etc., etc., and then the EIN number. Now, for most places, it is difficult to ascertain what the EIN number is, either looking online on the IRS site or calling them. However, if you do call them and they flat out refuse to provide that EIN number, you can place refused in that box, and that will prompt a much quicker audit because it's alleged that something is being evaded. So I'll put that in the most nicest terms. Or you can just simply put unknown if you could not find the EIN number, or if you called and they just did not have access to it, or it was unknown because it was a company under a company under a company under a company. And you all know how that goes. So that's how you fill out the W-4 form. The next form is the 1040 or the 1040 NR. Very simple here. Again, At the top left, if you do not file, you can leave it unchecked, or if you do normally report, you would just check it in the same manner in which you do your annual reporting. In the next section, still name, first, middle, spelled out in full, no initials, place your family name, social security number, and address. And then, of course, on the bottom half of the sheet, on the first page, nothing else needs to be filled out unless you know exact numbers that are being charged. Now, the purpose of this form is that it issues the return from the Treasury to assist in balancing your books. So this is why we fill out the form 1040 or 1040-NR. The remainder of this form, or the second sheet, you do want to fill in the refund section with your checking or savings account and routing number if you would prefer a direct deposit. Now, we are under a paperwork reduction form, and I say we because we're trying to save Mother Earth, but companies are under that as well as the government. So it'll be much easier if you provide this information for direct deposit. If you have a Treasury Direct account, you can put that account information there as well. Or if you would prefer a paper check, please understand that it may take a little bit longer for you to receive that paper check directly from the Treasury if any credits are returning to you in that form. But to make life simple, just place your account information there. And then on the bottom, I know on some of the videos, it was explaining to you not to sign, but via my teacher and having spoken with the IRS agent, they're stating that you are to sign, because if you don't sign, then the action cannot be completed. So a lot of people are saying not to sign because you're not the straw man, or you don't want to place yourself under potential fraudulent filing or frivolous filing. However, again, to protect yourself, that is why you're placing your occupation or the office that you are holding as the beneficiary, and you're placing your autograph as such too. Now, also, if you guys have watched Miss Beverly's film on YouTube, she also explained to protect your trust account, fill out IRS form 15227, which provides you a PIN, but also prevents anybody from just going into your account and accessing the funds therein. So if you do have that PIN number for your protection and safety and prevention of identity theft, make sure you place your PIN number there on the right-hand side. And again, this form is so that the Treasury can properly do the accounting for your straw man. Last form is the form 1040V. Again, simple payment voucher, and the purpose of this form is to pay the IRS to do the account. Makes sense because they are the accountants and the bookkeepers for the Treasury, so you want to make sure they get paid a little pocket change too for handling the accounting side for your straw man. So again, now a lot of people have asked whether you would do this with your spouse, and the general answer is no. Each person should do their own packets. Again, each person should do your own packet. Why? Because both Social Security numbers are being accessed and both accounts need to be audited. And it would seem to be simple if you place both information here, but I suggest doing it separately because your books are still separate behind closed doors, public and private, debits and credits. Both books need to be balanced. Even though you've come together as one household or as one contract under the law and under your creator, still when it comes to balancing the accounting side, there are still two separate books that need to be maintained. So for my couples out there, I would suggest you doing sandwiches each separately for proper accounting purposes. So you would place your Social Security number there with dashes. Again, full first and second given names, or as public say, your name. Family name under your last name, area, street, city, state, zip. Now, some people that have corrected their status are placing this information down here because technically the republic is separate from the federal. In other words, Georgia state is separate from the state of Georgia. That's two different jurisdictions, two different governments that are still very much operating, but we're not going to get into that for this session. So you can put your information there or there, depending on what you have done in your own personal journey to correcting your status and handling your own affairs. All right, so on the back of the form, this is optional. You do not have to do this because some have been successful without doing this. Some have been successful by doing this. But essentially what you're doing is utilizing a 2-cent stamp, which falls on the Universal Postal Union laws, which you should do some research on being the postmaster. And that's why you're signing across it with your autograph, or autographing across it with your given name and family name. At the very top, you're placing your Social Security number without dashes. Underneath that, you're placing the red bond number that's on the back of the Social Security card. The purpose for doing this is to give them an easier way to access your file and your account. And then, of course, at the bottom, you're placing the dates of when you autographed it or when you postmarked it. Now, again, if you don't have 2-cent stamps or cannot find 2-cent stamps, you are more than welcome to use 2 1-cent stamp or to omit this section. Either way, IRS still gets paid when you fill out the 1040V form. Now, some corporations that may have accessed your account that you may want to have audited include health departments, Department of Social Services when you apply for government benefits, the Motor Vehicle Division or Department of Motor Vehicles, all licenses from driving to marriage to gun to insurance agents and any other type of agents there are that require a license, all past employers. Now, all past employers may not be aware that they are accessing your public or your private account when they are employing you. I'm sorry, forgive me. However, there are some major agencies or employers that are very well aware of this, and they may have taken out insurance on you or may have accessed it for other means to pay you your wages. So any employer, you can place them on a W-4 too, just to have them audited to ensure that all is going well. Any past bank accounts, loans, mortgages, investments, lines of credit, credit cards, all insurance companies, court cases, anywhere from child support, traffic tickets, criminal, civil, all of those typically have bonds associated with them, which are traded so that you can make some money or interest unknown to you. And of course, because you don't know that you're making interest, it all defaults to the state. So public utilities, also check GMEI. That's another rabbit hole to go down if you're interested. Schools, colleges, university, technical schools, any company or agency that has requested the Social Security number to establish an account or to provide services, even though it's under the federal rules for us not to provide that Social Security number. I'm pretty sure they may have accessed the account if they have utilized the social. But either way, W-4 sandwich them all because it's not going to hurt to make sure your books are balanced. And it's not going to be any harm to them unless they're not acting honorably. So again, some important points for the W-4 sandwich. Make sure you sign, i.e. autograph, all forms from the office or position of beneficiary and authorized representative if you would like. And for additional protection, make sure you reserve your rights. Try your best to get the EIN number because if they refuse, it denotes tax evasion to the IRS, which prompts a much quicker audit. Handwriting your cover letter further denotes that, again, you are a living person, the creditor and beneficiary of the Sister K Trust account. However, you may type the cover letter too if your handwriting is not legible. And then make sure you double check your forms before sending them off. And then final checks and notes. Again, for each company that you want to audit, you have to fill out 3 forms and staple them together. So for instance, let's say I am auditing such and such bank. For that bank, I want to do a W-4, a 1040, and a 1040V and staple it together. And for every 5 of those sandwiches, I want to make sure I have a cover letter, either written or typed, for that mailing. Now, the mailing address you want to send the package to is the Department of Treasury, Office of Executive Secretary, 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, room 3413, Washington, D.C., 20220. Again, Department of the Treasury, Office of Executive Secretary, 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, room 3413, Washington, D.C., 20220. And of course, if there are any questions or if you need additional clarification, you are more than welcome to email us at risingangels23@gmail.com. And not for just questions, if you have further knowledge, because we are trying to expand this knowledge to the public as well as bring all of the puzzle pieces together so that we can have a full circle and a full grasp on how to operate in commerce, as well as how to live privately and to reduce the debt and operate via our credits. So let us know, contact us. We're more than willing and happy to share information, knowledge, and to receive education and wisdom so that we can make sure that we are properly handling our affairs as American, but most importantly, as sovereigns and gods and goddesses. So thank you for watching this video. If this was of value to you, please consider sending a love offering via Cash App to Blue Light Angel or via Venmo at Najim L. Thank you again for your time in watching this video. I appreciate your knowledge, your wisdom, and your courage.